Hello everyone, my name is Wong and I'm a photographer down here in Southern California, Los Angeles. Last year, my friend and I did this annual snow trip that we do. We go to the snow where we rent a cabin or like a giant mansion, a house, where we spend a whole week there. We eat, we hang out, we watch movies, we do bead makings, like a bunch of fun stuff, just have a good time. And of course, we do photo shoots and stuff. Me personally, I go out there with my drone and I capture some amazing drone footage because the landscape there is just so beautiful. But last year, more than shooting drones, I also have done some photo shoots, including with my good friend Stella Chu. I have shot with Stella Chu many times, especially if you have watched my channel, you know that we collaborate all the time, but we also do photo shoots with other people that she make cosplay for. But this time, she brought out this amazing black dress into the snow because she was inspired by Wang, aka Wlop? Blah blah blah, WLOP. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say it, but he is an artist that make amazing, beautiful fantasy art where you see, time a princess or like some kind of emperor, some kind of stuff, or knights. Just amazing fantasy art in general. So we want to create some photos that's kind of similar to his style, and also see, how do we make the shot very dreamy. And to do that, I'm thinking about that I want to have the photos kind of glow. So today I want to show you guys how I actually make my photo glows and how I get a final result looking like this. So today I'm going to show you guys how I use two different methods to create this glowy, dreamy effect that I'm going to apply to my portraits to see if I can create a very fantasy look. The first one, we're gonna call it the Orton effect. It's something that a lot of photographers use for landscape photography. But this time we're applying to our fantasy photo. Hopefully it will turn out pretty good as well. So let's get into it. What you're gonna do first is that you're gonna choose your original image. You're gonna press Ctrl-J on window to duplicate the layer. You can also, of course, right click on the image and then click duplicate, and you can duplicate that layer right there too. Now I'm gonna name this image Orton effect. Next, we're gonna turn this layer into a smart object. Right click on that layer and click smart object. The reason you want to do that is because now when I add any effect, I can make changes to it afterwards, which is pretty powerful, especially if you want to do non-destructive editing. That's the best way to do it. All right, so now all I have to do is go to filter, go to blur, go to Gaussian blur, and then you can change whatever pixel you want. Again, because we have a smart object layer, we can always change it back. For now, I'm just gonna go with 50. So it's kind of like blur photos. I can kind of see the person still there, but enough to make me feel like what the glow will look like. Next, we are going to add a adjustment layer. This is the level adjustment layer. I'm gonna bring the white points a little bit more to the left and the mid points a little bit more to the right. Maybe a little bit more, something like this. And you can play around with it later too, because it is an adjustment layer. So it doesn't matter what you do here, you can always adjust it later. Then I'm gonna hold down Alt on window and click on the layer between the two layers, so it become a clipping layer and clip on the layer underneath it. So what I'm gonna do next is that I'm gonna double click on this layer. Actually, sorry, I'm gonna just click on this layer first. I'm gonna change the blending mode to soft light. There you go. Now instantly, if I zoom in, you can see how her shoulder here, where is the white points or more like highlight area, is already kind of more glowy and more bright. And this is not just pushing the highlights of the shots to be brighter. It does have a soft glow effect because where we did the blur. And if you wanted to, now you can double click on the Gaussian layer or Gaussian blur effect. You can bring it higher, and you can actually see how much blur it changes from little to more, and that's up to you and how you like it. Okay, maybe the 60 is too high. Let me bring it around like now I like it maybe around 27. That's pretty good. And if I zoom back out inside, you can see the really nice glow. However, you also notice that wow, the image, the rest of it look very dark. If I compare to original, I feel like I lost so much texture and so much of the image. Now, if you double click on this layer, what we're going to do is that we're going to change what is called the blend if settings. So if I move this point to the left, you'll see that the picture will only be affected by the highlight parts, the bright part of these photos. Let me show you guys. If I go do this, boom, As you can see, anything that's dark is not really being affected anymore. But you can tell it's kind of ugly. Like there's a lot of like weird line, very harsh line that is just make it look really strange. But we can fix that. All we have to do is hold down Alt on window and just drag this a little bit to the left and drag it a little bit to the right so it becomes more of a gradient. So if I click on this preview, you can see now the only things that are being affected are the highlights part of the photo. And of course, you can drag this a little bit more or less, up to you to see how you feel. And then click OK. And there you go. The photos has more of a glowy effect already. And if you feel like it's too much, you can always bring down the opacity to change it. And if you want to be even more selective on only showing the highlights, what you can do is that you press Ctrl-Alt-2 on your keyboard, and then that will select all the highlights in the photo. Then you can click on Mask, and it will create a mask just on the highlights. So as you can see right now, only the highlights of the photos is selected. So therefore, all the dark points are not being affected. And now you can make more adjustments based on how you like. Let's say you want the highlights even glow a little bit more, then you can add more to a Gaussian blur. And if you feel like the mask is also too strong, you can also click on the mask and then make a Gaussian blur on that layer. So then you can create a little bit more blur to the mask so it's not so rigid and become more glowy. All right, let me group all these effects into one folder so I can show you the difference between before and after. All right, now I'm going to show you a second method. I came across this new product called Dehancer Film Emulator. So it is a software or plugin that it can use for Lightroom, Photoshop, and of course Premiere, DaVinci, and all those stuff to make your photos look more like film. But that also can make my photos and my videos look more like a fantasy if I wanted to. Let me show you what I mean. So we're gonna duplicate this layer again just to show you the before and after. So this time I'm gonna change this layer to call Dehancer. All right, and then I'm gonna click on Filter. After install it, I have this Dehancer film plugin right here. Now, once I click on it, this screen will show up, and you can see a lot of different film effects that you can choose from. And I mean a lot. So if I scroll all the way up here, it goes from a dark color, Implosion 100, all the way down here to S. So as you can see, there's a lot of different type of effects that you can choose from. And then if I click on profile, there's also different type of profile for you to choose from. So I play with a lot of different look just to see what works the best for what we're going for here. And I think at the end of the day, what I have chosen is down to two of my favorites. I have picked two favorites, which are, let's see, my favorites. One is the Fujichrome CDU2, and the other is the Kodak Actar 25, I think that's what it's called. And both looks amazing. I think they both have very interesting personality, and they make my photos very film-like. But again, we're trying to go for more of a fantasy glow effect. At least that's what we're trying to go for today. So what I did is that after I choose the Kodak effect, on the right side, there's also other things I can choose. So the first thing I did was that I went to Bloom. Bloom is very much the glow of the photo. And I can click Custom to bring up the menu that has more settings here. So first, there are like highlights, there is source limiter, see how much limits to your shot, how much is glowing in the detail, and how much it is on the diffusions. So I play around with this a little bit to get a lot of glow into my shots, so it look more, make the photos a lot more glowy, especially on my person. So this look like. And then at the end, I came down to somewhere around here to has that kind of glow effect. I feel it's already look pretty great. So let me turn it off and turn it on. You can already see the difference in the photo. It looks a lot more glowy. But I want to do a little bit more to the photo. So what I did after that is that I want to add halation to the photo. Now, I know halation might not make the most sense for a look that we're going for, or at least not, exactly what, Wang has in his drawing, but I feel like it had more personality, except like, it is a style that I want to go for. So let's give a little bit of my personality into the photo as well too. So I click on halation, I choose custom again, and then I play with different settings just to get to the look that I want. The only problem is that, as you can see, it does bring it a warm glow, a little bit too red for some of the parts of the photo. So it's not exactly, the style that I want to go for. So after I play around with it a little bit, I end up with something like this. And then I just click OK. Now the new image is being saved like this. And like I said, I feel like the photo is still missing a little bit more of that punch and a little bit more of that sorrow. Like, I know it's hard to just explain, but that little sorrow that's in his style of painting, that I want to have it in my photo as well too. Right now it still look too warm and too happy. So let's change it a little bit. So I'm gonna duplicate this layer, and this time I'm gonna call it color grading. So then I go to filter and then go to camera raw filter. And here I get to play with a lot of my grading and my color, especially in the color mixer panel and also the color grading panel. And I play around with it until I get to the light and the color that I feel like makes the most sense in my photo. And after playing with it a while, this is what I got. Alright, one more thing. So I went to the Dehancer website, dehancer.com. If you look at their product, they don't only have plugin for Photoshop. If you're also someone who, like me, doing videos, creating video content, you're gonna find out that they also have stuff for Adobe, After Effects, Premiere, Final Cut Pro, and DaVinci Resolve. Actually, a lot more for DaVinci Resolve. But today, I'm gonna also show off how you can use the Dehancer in Adobe Premiere as well too, because that is my main editing software. So once I download the software, all I have to do is open up Premiere, and I bring in a shot that I actually took while I was shooting the photo shoots. I should shot some video too. I have brought this video in where I add in a bit slow-mo to the shot, and all I have to do now is to open up my effects panel and then go to Dehancer, and you'll see Dehancer is in here after you install it. All I have to do is drag it to my clip, and then you can play around with all the setting that you just saw that I did in Photoshop. So, you can choose different profile, and then from there you can add different kind of, effects into it, like what I did with lots of bloom, lots of halations, and of course you can do custom exactly the same way that you did with Photoshop earlier. Now here's one more trick that I think will be very useful for all of you. So let's say you can't really tell which effect you want to use or how to have the best way to, kind of like guess what you're gonna look like, what kind of film that you wanna create. This is all you have to do. You can turn off the Dehancer filter first, and then click on this little button, export frame. If you don't see this button, all you have to do is click on this plus button, and then you can drag that export frame, this little logo, into this bar. Once you do, you click on it, you can save that photo into Photoshop, and then you can use Photoshop to color grade it, you can do whatever you want in it, and do every effect that you have just done in Dehancer, like the way I did. And all you have to do is copy those effects onto Premiere, then you're gonna have exactly the same shot that you have. Now, even if you only do video and not do Photoshop at all, this is what I did. I deleted the software, uninstalled everything, and to show you, I brought this shot in, and I actually do not have a license for it, but you can still play around with all the effects that you want. And once you find out what effects you want, you can just copy all this custom setting here, and then go back to Premiere and just bring the setting into here. So now you can also have film look that's really amazing with Dehancer, and you can use Photoshop to just look at it the way that you want. You can simulate it, because I do find Photoshop, at least the plugin they have here, a lot easier for me to see what they look like, especially since they also have some preset that they have created that is very interesting. I love those look, and it's a much faster way for me to guess what they look like than actually using Premiere to just to see which each one of them is. Maybe they have a tool that allow us to see a little bit easier, but I don't know it yet. So yeah, anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comment section down below. And also, if you want me to create any other specific video, please let me know so I can keep that in mind and maybe make that in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.